So, hello everybody. It's really nice to be here. Thank you for invitation. A little bit about me. I'm social psychologist. I work in UX research for about 8 years now. Most part of that I work for Yandex and mostly for Yandex Market. Yandex Market is one of the biggest e-commerce platforms in Russia. So we had millions of users who buy some different things on Yandex Market. We have thousands of merchants and vendors who are doing business with us. Also, we are doing internal research for our products because there are also couriers, warehouse workers, and other stuff for which we have also doing products. For a better understanding, it's like 70 product managers on Yandex Market and 35 product designers. So it's quite a lot. And my team is rather small comparing to them because it's only 10 of us. And we do research for the major products and sometimes helping others. So, what we're talking today. As you know, globally now we're living in a time due huge historical moments. A few years ago, we all faced pandemic. Everybody went online. We changed our ways of living and changed a lot. This year, you also know we're facing terrible events. Many people are terrified, sad, depressed, and just don't know what to do. And many people fled to other countries. And also here I am in Yerevan for 2 months now. I never thought I would be here for such a long time, I guess. And I don't know where I would be in a half a year or maybe a year. But yeah, this is it. And but locally, you know, working on a product team, you're also going through a lot of changes every day. Oh, sorry. A lot of changes every day because we're living in an agile environment, and it tells us to be flexible, quick, and to make fast decisions. So it feels like adaptivity is already in our culture, is already something which we can't live without. So if I ask, for example, my team or other researchers, what's changed in your work? You know, it's really hard to answer because not so many things change because we already get used to do different things according to some changes. So, you know, as already been said, UX design is impossible without the research. So today I want to share with you some advice, some pieces of advice about how to follow human-centered design principles, no matter of what. Big changes, small changes, everything. So, you know, when something happened, for example, crisis or, I don't know, strategy changes, everybody around are worrying and thinking, well, we should skip all not that necessary parts. Yeah, many think that, oh, we should skip marketing part, we don't need them, we don't need research, we don't need UX writers, oh, we just need to code. Maybe we should skip design also. But if we look at this process, I hope you know this scheme. This is double diamond. This process was developed by British Council of Design, but it also looks familiar to whom who know human-centered design process, design thinking process. They're all kind of the same. So for those of you who don't know, I make brief introduction. At the first phase, we do the discovery. So we should understand what the problems of our users are. On other stage, we should choose which problem we will solve because we can't solve all the problems at the same time. So we should decide. Next stage, we are working with this problem which we choose, and we are thinking about how we can manage it and what solution could be. There are a growing number of solutions which we may imply, but then we have to choose because we don't know which solution would be better. So for us, it's time to test. So, and only after testing and some iterations of design, the feature, the solution is done. So, if we skip UX research, we skip the whole first diamond, and after that, we also skip part of develop diamond, yeah? And it feels like if you skip research, it's no longer a user design, it's just design. And my thought is, you can say, what the head of UX research may say, of course, don't skip UX research, don't sacrifice UX research. But it's really important because if you're skipping it, it feels like you're making decisions in the dark because you don't know which problem are you solving and whether your decision is good. I also heard some question here about do you test prototypes to see whether user need it or no? If you have such questions, it means that you already skipped the first part because if you do the research first, you understand what are the user needs, then you don't have to ask, do they need something or no? You already know the need. So, okay, imagine we skip this part, and this means that it's like you can find the answers to these questions about user needs and the solution only after the experiments in the production. It could be dangerous because you can lose some users or you can lose time and money again to rebuild solution. It's not my point to sell you research because you already talk a lot about it, but still remember that even in a crisis, it's still very useful and effective to do research. Many people say that making a research takes a lot of time. So it's really impossible for us to do research now. But, you know, it's a myth. Because if I ask you, what methods of UX research do you know? And I think that first two methods which you will remember would be interview and usability testing. Of course, these methods usually takes a lot of time. But it's not the only methods which you can use. So, I recommend you to learn about more methods, and you know, don't only have fork and knife and have a Swiss knife, and it would be really useful. So, for example, when you start, the first thing which you should make during the discovery stage is actually desk research. What does it mean? I think that you are not the only person on this planet Earth or in your company who started to think about questions on some topic. So, first of all, I recommend you to go to your colleagues, to go to your research depository to see whether you have some information already. Because in huge corporations like Yandex, we have a lot of products, and for us, discovering may be easy because maybe in some part of the company it was already researched. But you may ask me, well, I am working at the startup, it's something new, we don't have any researchers at all. What do you recommend me? I recommend you to look on the internet, of course, because internet also have a lot of useful information. For example, if you know some specific sources, it would be much easier for you to make desk research. For example, this is the huge website called Statista. They have a lot of different data on different topics. As you can see, they have like data on the recent news, which just happened, so it's really actual. Well, also you may ask, it's a lot of quantitative data. What you will say if we need qualitative data? But there are also some sources about UX research. For example, this is the website of Baymert Institution. They made a lot of studies where they compare different websites, apps, so they have benchmarks, and as you can see, they have like hundreds of free articles. Others are under the paywall, but still, you can also buy it if you have money but don't have time. Also, I recommend you to look at the Nielsen Norman Group website. They also have articles, really great, and also big reports. It's really useful. But of course, this is the desk research open data, and we should know more about our users, our customers. So I recommend you, first of all, if you decided to do research at all, to set up different user feedback channels. There is only already existing one. This is the first. It's social media listening. It means that even if you don't have right now your own channels, you may go online and see what the customers already wrote about you or your competitors. And you can see it by yourself, or you can find some programs like UScan or, I don't know, analogs, but of course it might be. It will search the net for you and show you messages where you mentioned. And also you can use different agencies. They may do this work for you. For example, our marketing department use such reports constantly. It may be helpful. Other stuff which you can do is if you have customer support team, you can ask them to make some statistics and show you some messages, some calls, or even you can be for a day a customer support specialist. It's really helpful to have an empathy for your users. Next way is to make feedback surveys and polls. Actually, this is my favorite method to do this because it will constantly give you the information that you need. And there are a lot of ways how you can do it. For example, you can make a survey and send it to the email, by the push messages, or you can make some widget or triggered scheme to show you this survey. For example, we made a lot of surveys like this, but one of the most helpful is the survey on the success page. People are purchasing goods on our surveys, and then we ask how it was. We are also collecting metrics like NPS, CES, CSI, it's like customer experience metrics. So we also see the dynamics, and also we can make a cut in database and see on different groups. For example, if today some product manager ask me, what problems do we have with the beauty categories? Why people don't buy it? What's happening? We can make the same day the database with the orders of users, with the users who ordered these products, and see what they write it down in this survey, and we will understand directly what's going on with them. So a lot of cases were solved with this one survey. It's perfect. Also, you can make communities and chats with users. It's much more expensive way, I guess, because it takes you more time, because community is something which should be alive, so you should moderate it, and you should add some new users, communicate with them, yeah. But this is really a great way to have specific feedback. So, for example, you are chatting to your couriers on the new version of the application. What do they think? How do they like the new feature? And they directly send you messages about it. So it's really easy. And yeah. This is what I can tell you about like discovery part. Also, for example, imagine you don't have possibility to make an interview, but you still may get qualitative data by making a survey. You know, survey is like quantitative, why qualitative, but you can make it with the one open question, like, If you have imagine user received the survey and he sees the question. If you have a possibility to change something in your product right now, in this product right now, what would you do first? And this is the most prioritized by user features which they will like to see. This is also really helpful. So this is what about discovery part, but we also have like evaluation part about the prototypes, about the decision. And I recommend you to know more about some quick tests. This is like first click tests. Maybe you heard about it. Sergey definitely heard about it. Yeah, there are a lot of different tools which may help you to do this. Without special tool, you can't. This means that you, for example, made a mock-up. You have different layouts, and buttons, and names, and you wanna see whether it's usable or not if the person have to make just one movement. And you may ask a person to do something. For example, on this page, sorry, it's in Russian, but we asked people to say that this review is bad and people shouldn't see it, and they made only one click. So we saw that it's not very useful and people don't understand where to click. Also, the other method is called preference testing. This is also called in Yandex side by side because it's where we can give users to compare different types of design. Of course, it's not about the usability, it's about the visual part, because you can't ask what is more useful or in usability words. But still, it's very useful when you have kind of similar designs and you should decide which one to choose. Also, you may do short surveys. For example, you may make an arrow to some button, for example, and you may show users this picture and ask, what do you think? What will happen if you click on this button? And you will see the expectations which users have. It's also really useful to understand what will be in real life. And of course, I don't like this method, corridor testing. It means that you are doing tests on your colleagues, on the people in your office. But still, if you don't have enough time, it's better to do such testing than don't do testing at all. So in B2B products, we do a lot of tests on the account managers, which helps our bigger partners to make business with us because they know a lot about our users and they're kind of like special users. So yeah, it works. I recommend you not to skip it. Also, I wanted to show you one of the tools you may try to use. This is Optimal Workshop, one of the oldest tool. You can do also card sorting, tree testing, but first click testing is really good in this tool, so I recommend you. You may also say that, well, we have only one researcher, he has a lot of things to do, and what should we do? We should wait for him. Yeah, it's a lot of tasks, they are small, but still we have to wait. This is why I think that it's really useful if you will do, like, redistribute the duties. So I'm agree with Alina. It's really important to share the culture and don't be a monopolist on your field of knowledge. So involve your team members in research practice. It's really great when people communicate with users, they understand better how people behave and also how do researchers work. Many people think that if everybody would do research, researchers won't be needed. No, exactly opposite. So in Yandex Market, our product managers do a lot of interviews with people. They're doing discovery research, and every designer in our team is testing his prototypes by himself. So user researchers don't test prototypes at all. We're just learning designers to do this and make it possible for them. We provide them with participants, we mentor them, and that's how all of our team is actually doing research. But researchers are like mentors, organizers, and specialists who know a lot about this stuff. Yeah, so this is really great way to grow the culture also, because, yeah. Again, we should always understand that there are different things happening in the world and also in the life of one particular person. No matter of the world, every person might have personal issues, so there is some research ethics which you should follow. For example, we don't know, maybe person had experienced loss of a close one, or being ill, or something else. So there is things which you shouldn't mention during the interviews or the user research, other user research. For example, there is rules. For example, don't make tasks with names like with family members. For example, imagine your mom have a birthday. Don't do it because maybe person don't have a mom already. Yeah, so this is the basics, but also we should also look at the context and understand what's going on. But you know, during these times, like in February, first we stopped our research because we thought that it would be hard for people to speak with us about some unimportant things like buying flowers on the market or something. But then we realized that people were really ready to do this, because this was opportunity to talk and think about something else, not about the bigger changes in life. So yeah, maybe for some it would be hard, for some not. You should be really attentive to people. And also, if we talk about the context, we should understand that, for example, in shocking moments, people may react differently, and their answers could be biased. So, for example, when we look at this NPS survey, as I told you about before, we see the waves during this time. It means that in shocking periods, people estimate something as 0, but in a few months they may estimate it as like 5. So you should be accurate with the with your I forgot it with your conclusions. Yeah. So please remember about the context, but still life is going on, and I think that crisis is time for trials and errors, so don't be scared, experiment, and if you want to be user-centric, you need to find ways to be closer to your customers. So it's really easy to say that you are user-centric. It should be seen in the way you behave and in the way you make decisions. So I wish you to have less disruptions in your life and work, and still to be ready to every challenge. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, and thank you for the talk. I'm here.
Yeah, see.
It was great and timely. I would like to go back to the global context part of your talk. You mentioned the fluctuations in NPS and CSI. Mm-hmm. And I understand how it works, but the question is, you cannot disregard the metrics overall for your company, right? You have to do something. You have to measure them and you have to address them. But while understanding the global context and why these metrics change, how do you address that those biased results? Do you decide within the company that you are going to skip this 3 months of results or whatever?
Yeah, something like this. We just describe the situation to our team and say that now it's hard times and we don't know what's going on. So we should better look at the qualitative data than the metrics to better understand the problems, but don't look at the numbers because, yeah, that happens. It also sometimes happens in the analytics. For example, if you had like, I don't know, championship or, I don't know, New Year or some other event, you also have these fluctuations in the behavior and the metrics. So yeah, that happens.
Здравствуйте, спасибо за презентацию. У меня вот такой вопрос. Если мы делаем редизайн сайта, который уже существует очень много лет, и у них уже есть свои пользователи, вот как, с чего начать UX research, чтобы как бы не было конфуза у тех пользователей, которые уже пользуются этим продуктами, и им как бы не важно, как будет выглядеть UI. С чего начать, какие ресурсы использовать, как поэтапно вот по этому всему пройти, чтобы не было никаких вот непонятных ситуаций, и как прийти вот к общему знаменателю, чтобы все было там в порядке, и чтобы привлечь новых пользователей и не забыть про старых, которые уже существуют.
In such situation, you should always think about the users that are already exist because they're loyal to you, they get used to you, and as you see principles of the user-centered design, there is one that tells you that you should always be aware of the experience which person already have. And so you should do an interview with them to see how they use it, for which purposes. Also, I recommend you to see how they do it in their like natural life, to do some ethnic research, yeah, to go to their office, to their home, or just to watch them doing it. Because you may see something which they don't talk about, but they use it a lot. And of course, it's better to speak with other users which are don't using your product at all, new users, because it might be some something that they want to see in your product or some other things which they already like in different products. So you should find something in the middle between your or existing users and new users. You shouldn't crack the experience of first and make it more likable for the new ones. Yeah, it's not strict instruction, but you should watch and talk with both of them. Yeah.
How do you make users who are more or less satisfied with your products answer your surveys, your questionnaires? Because, well, personally, when I am satisfied, I'm not like prone to answer any polls. I'm like, I'm fine, thank you, product is great. But then when I hate something, I will write, odds of and say, go to hell, all that. But of course, you want also some adequate answers and from people who also are okay with the product or love it.
Okay.
How do you make them actually answer the polls?
Okay. You're talking about customer support case when you have something going wrong and you want to argue. This is why I actually don't like customer support source, because you can't see anything good there, and also you can see anything that people don't understand, which went wrong. They just went away, for example, for other competitors. And speaking about surveys, it's a problem that mostly people like the experience which they have, and it's a problem to ask people who didn't like answer that, because they finished the order, everything is fine, nothing bad happened yet, so they're like, 5, and you're like, no, it's not 5. I know it's not 5. Why are you lying to me? So it's problem, and I recommend in such cases to make an interviews with these people or make a sample. If you, for example, understand by web analytics that this group of users are hard users, they love product, they are loyal, you can make a sample and make a survey only on them to send them directly to them, or make an interviews with them. Yeah, this is the best way.
Thank you very much for the presentation. My question is again regarding the identifying biased answers. What if the cause is not so obvious as such as pandemic, but the issue is happening locally? Do you have any strategies to identify biases?
Yeah, thank you. This is the good question, and the answer is you need more channels to reach to your audience. Only one channel won't give you the full picture. So this is why I recommend you to make social listening, to see what people write in reviews in the stores, what people say in the survey, what people say in interview, what we see in data analytics. This is like triangulation of the data as people use in research, scientific research. We also need it in other spheres also. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for the presentation. You told that, and I agree with it, that everything should start with the research. But the examples that you were talking about were more about already existing projects. And what if we are just creating one and we are working on MVP? We don't know our users, we don't know anything. What methods should we use to start?
Well, in your case, you should research a lot more than others who already have an existing product because, well, you don't have your users, but you have your future users, somebody you want to on your side. Yeah. So first of all, you should do interviews. You should make ethnographic research. So watch and see how do they use different products. There are also, if imagine there is no such products at all. This is completely new something. But still, design thinking has the rule that every design is a redesign. So that means that maybe there is no such product at all right now, but there is a need. And this need is somehow is closed by other products or, I don't know, other people like, I don't know, offline one or other things in life. So this is like analogous research. For example, if you're thinking about how to do the customer surveys in the clinics, you can also watch and see how do people do it in the airports because there is also huge crowds. There are people with disabilities, with babies, or like something like that. It's also analogous research, and I recommend you to find the need in person in the audience which you wanted to have on your site. Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation, and I would like to know what to do in the case if your users are kids from 9 to 15. What ways can you have to communicate with them and to understand about the product, about the usability, and about the ways that you can make them be comfortable with you?
For me, this is the hard question because I have never worked with children during research, but in Yandex we also have products for children, for the education, and I communicate a lot with the colleagues from this department. And I know that, I don't know about Armenia, but in Russia it's illegal to talk to children without parent. So, of course, first of all, you have to have a permission from a parent. After that, I know that it's really hard because people can't concentrate for a long time. And I recommend you do more ethnographic research. So just watch and see how do people, how the children do it. No, and maybe sometime ask them to do something for you, show you. Yeah, and make him or she feel like an expert. So children like also to play like they're experts. Yeah, but this is, I think this is all I can say because in my experience. Yeah. And of course, if you have to do a test, it would be harder, but still you can make a play with them. So think about it, about how you can make it more interesting for children, how you can make it be fun. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your speech, and I want to clarify one thing about NPS and CSI. I don't know how is it going in Yandex, but there are some companies where company have a KPI based on NPS or a CSI, and this KPI affects such things like salaries or some kind of payouts. And you talked that in time of fluctuations, you may forget about the NPS or CSI. So what if company can't do it because it affects the money, the salaries?
These metrics are self-reported metrics. They're already biased, they're subjective. So this is why I don't recommend any team to make it a KPI, because that's people. And it's like, attitudinal one. It's attitudinal thing